Hello, everyone. It's the worst hairstylist here, bringing you the worst podcast you know. Is this music dramatic enough? I don't know if it is, to be honest. Anyway, let's get it, I guess. Why am I nervous? Hey, guys. It's Lexie, not Alexis, not Alexa. My name is just Lexie. If you guys didn't know that. A lot of people get confused with that one. My last name is Rainbow, and if you want to just call me here by Lexie, you can just call me here by Lexie. It's what majority of the world does that knows me, at least. Acting like the whole world knows me. Anyway, hey guys, I'm so excited to start this podcast. So as you guys saw, I'm going to be doing I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it work where I do 2 episodes a week, but if not, I'll be doing 1 episode a week, and I'll be doing a hairstylist episode and then a real life, just my everyday life episode. Because I got a lot of shit this week, man. There's a lot that goes on up in here, and there's a lot that just happens in my life that I would love to share with you guys. And I have been asked to do a podcast for so long, so it only makes sense to just finally just do it. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I thought no better way than to start off this podcast by, giving you the inside scoop. Who is Hair by Lexie? Where the fuck did she come from? If you guys know anything about me, I'm, from a small town in Illinois. How did I get here? That's one of my biggest asked questions, is how did I end up here? Sometimes I lay in bed at night and I'm like, how the fuck did you end up here in Florida? You're going to hear it, because I never thought in a million years that this would ever be where I would be today, especially 2 cats. They'll probably be running around in here in a minute. So if you guys can see this, I literally feel like a DJ. I'm sorry for the jump scare. Let's get on into this thing. So yeah, I am from a small town in Illinois, about an hour and a half south of Chicago. You guys know I brought up the King Von song, the "Just Got Some Top from the Stripper Bitch, she from Kankakee." That's me. I'm the stripper bitch from Kankakee. But yeah, so anyway, that's the town that I am from. I grew up in. The town that I actually lived in, it's a township. It's not even an actual town. It's so far out of the town. So I grew up in a cornfield, and I'm not kidding when I say I grew up in a cornfield. My backyard was a cornfield. So if you guys think I'm joking when I'm no, I'm from a small, little cornfield, no, a bitch is actually from the cornfield. Yeah, went to high school in a small school, very small, out also in the country. In high school, I actually, believe it or not, this might shock some of you, I was a little shy in high school. Not I think it wasn't that I was shy. It was more so I have social anxiety, especially with the people in my, school or whatever that had bigger personality. I was I always wanted to be that person that could just not care what anyone thought, but I cared way too much about what people thought. I would have never been able to do what I'm doing now in high school, because I was that self-conscious and that insecure. In high school, I actually I signed up for the cosmetology school program. I ended up dropping out because I was there's no way that I want to do what I said I wanted to do when I was 5. And also I was they don't make any money, just the stereotypical things. And I wanted to go to college like all of my friends and party. I mean, come on. I couldn't go to the university, okay? My parents were no, you're going to community college. So I went to a community college for a semester to be an x-ray tech, and I failed all my classes. Okay, so maybe I should try that cosmetology school thing. It's not I'm actually going to university anyway, so I didn't even get to go then the parties or live that college life. So I ended up just deciding, let's go to cosmetology school. So I ended up going and starting that January. I also, this is a part of the story that I kind of almost missed. I moved out of my house, and I moved in with my boyfriend at 17, 18, with him and his mom. So I had been living with them pretty much this whole time frame that I'm kind of going through right here. So yeah, I ended up going to the cosmetology school. I'll go over all of that in different episodes, my experiences there or whatever. Okay, so there was a backstory. Now, how did I get kind of here in Florida? When did I flip a switch and just be I don't want to live this life anymore? Because my life was very set in stone for me at that point. So when you live in a small town, everyone gets married really young. Everyone has kids really young. It's the normal there. I thought I was going to have kids and be married by now, to be honest with you. And that I almost was. I actually, right before the summer of 2022, so this was only probably a year and a half, little over a year and a half ago now, I was looking at wedding rings. I was going to get married. And I think that is one of the things that you can add to the list of what freaked me out and what might have almost pushed me to do what I did. So I guess another little backstory thing too, and this is going to make sense, is my sister moved to Florida when I was very young. She's 10 years older than me, so she's 34 now. And so she moved to Florida when I was like, 10 or whatever. And she moved to Miami. And my family didn't travel much. We never flew on planes. We never really went on vacation. So I didn't ever visit her in Florida until I was like 20 years old, only a couple years ago. That was my first time ever like visiting here. And every time I would come here with my ex or whatever, I would love it. And I'm like, man, I wish I could live that life. But I knew that there was no way I could live that life. And it was because I was with my boyfriend at the time. Like I loved him. It never even crossed my mind that it would even ever be in the cards for me, to be honest with you. So fast forward a little bit to that April of 2022, we went to Florida. And on the way home from Midway Chicago Airport, I cried the whole way home. The whole way. I was like, I want to live in Florida. And my boyfriend at the time was like, there's just no way. Like, your job is here, my job is here. It's literally just not in the cards for us. And I was like, you're right. It really isn't. There was no way I was going to be able to afford to move. There was just no way. So, dreams crushed. I was like, I just kind of accepted my life. That's around the time when I just started looking at wedding rings. I was just accepting that this is it. So now that you know that of where I was at back in that time, now we're going to rewind back a little bit to when I started making TikToks. Okay. I started making TikToks back in like 2021, and I wanted to be a fashion influencer. It's so crazy, bro. I wanted to be Delaney Childs. If you know who that is, I love her. I still do. I watch her all the time still to this day. Not to be a fangirl or anything, and she followed me on TikTok. Not to be a fangirl or anything, and I might have fangirled a little bit when she followed me on TikTok, but anyway, here's the thing with doing hair back then, especially if you did something different than anyone else. The hair community was so negative back then. And they were like, if you did anything different, you would just get attacked. It was very negative. And I didn't, back then, I was a little bit more insecure. I wasn't confident, and I was afraid to hate comments. I was afraid to hate. Now, I could give a less of a fuck. Why do I feel like I can't cuss on here? Like, come on. It's my own podcast. I can do whatever I want. I got a button for that too, bitch. Obviously, the fashion thing wasn't working for me. Okay, it wasn't working for me, unfortunately. So I started making hair TikToks a little bit, and they were never voiceovers. They were just like, oh, this is how much I made in a day, or like, this is what I did in a day. And those started doing a little bit pretty good. And this was 2021. And by then I started doing voiceovers, dabbling into it a little bit back then. But they were so customer service voice. I was like, hi guys, it's Lexie. Welcome to if you go watch. Oh, don't actually, please don't. God, what am I done? Yeah, my old videos are very customer service voice. They don't even sound like me. Also, I was like younger, and I was, very shy. I was camera shy. I was, like I said, I was insecure. So yeah, it's crazy to listen to those back now and just realize you can see how much more comfortable I've gotten in front of the camera. And I think that that's what I've always told people is you only are going to get better by doing something. If you don't give up at it, like, you're only going to get better doing hair. You're only going to get more comfortable in front of a camera. And that's exactly, you can tell from any influencer too. I have gone back and I've seen like old videos of like Ken Urich, and she sounds the exact same way I sounded like when I started my YouTube or my TikTok too. Like, our voices are just so like high pitched. Like, you're have on this like facade that's not even you, because you don't know how to be yourself in front of a camera. And then it finally, one day, it just comes out. And I feel like mine didn't actually fully reach a full comfortable spot until like this year. So yeah, I started posting some hair stuff. I started posting those customer service. Like, I hated my content. I was posting for other people, and I wasn't posting for myself. I was just posting what I thought everyone wanted. Trying to be like, I don't want to get hate, whatever. What happened to make me flip a switch and be like, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks anymore? You might be wondering. This is where these two stories start to line up. Also, I was stuck at like 50,000 followers for like a year, which granted 50,000 is so many people, and it was so great. But yeah, it just never grew. It never grew past that because my content was just the same every time. It was those customer service like voices. It was, it wasn't doing anything. No one saw a personality. No one saw anything. It was just me making these videos. So this is right before the summer of 2022 again. So that June actually is when I posted my first sarcastic hair video that you guys see me do every day now. So my boyfriend at the time, me and him were living in a house together with our dog. So he came to get his haircut. If you know one thing about me, I hate haircuts. I hate men's haircuts specifically. I hate men. Stop, Juice. Juice just almost ruined this whole thing, man. I don't know what I'm doing, Juju, and you can't be doing that. That's for damn sure. Go. Okay, anyway, as I was saying, he came into the salon. I was like, you know what? My little sister was with us. And I was like, will you film this for me? So I had her film clips of me cutting his hair. And when I got home later that day, I was like, I am just going to fuck around and put these together and make a funny little joke out of it. It was one of my best videos. Obviously, it was my first video of the sort. And it was really funny. I was like, this hot guy came into the salon. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. I dated a guy over this past summer, and he was a little insecure and made me go through and delete every single thing I had of my ex-boyfriend on my phone, on my TikTok, everything. And I did it. And that's the worst part. And I hate to admit it. It's me. I look back on that and I'm like, why would you do that for someone? We dated for maybe a month. That's one of the most embarrassing things. I hate to even talk about that time of my life this summer, like July to like fucking end of August. I don't want to speak about it, but yeah, I did that for a guy, and I deleted this video, my first ever video, that viral video that blew up. Moving along, it blew up. I remember being at dinner that night, and I was like, holy shit, this video is blowing up. So I started doing those videos. Ever since that day, I started doing those videos every day at work. I was excited to go to work. I was going to film these videos. I was going to do these sarcastic. I started having so much fun. And I started just loving what I was doing. And this is where I found my love for content creation. And this is where I found my love for like the videos that I do now. And people always ask me what I would be doing if I wasn't doing hair. I would be doing some sort of photography, or I would be doing some sort of like content. I love my job on TikTok. It doesn't even feel like a job because I just love making the videos so much. That's just, and some people hate the video side of things. Some people don't want to film at the salon. Some people don't want to do that. Like, but for me, it's my favorite part. I love it so much, truly. And I think my love for it shows, considering I still come out with videos every single day to this day, especially like that. And yeah, so I stopped doing those customer service voices that I didn't even feel like myself. I started becoming more of myself. I started, so anyway, actually that might have been 2023. Oh, damn. Did I get that timeline? No, I think I meant to say 2023 because it's 2023 right now. God, never mind. I didn't confuse you, I hope. It was 2022. Why? I thought it was 2024 right now. That's in like next week, Lexie. Don't get ahead of yourself. So I was right. It was right. Man, that almost just sent me in a spiral. I almost just threw this thing across the room. I started blowing up on TikTok that summer. I gained, I think right before I moved to Florida, I had like 300,000 followers, which was insane. So yeah, that's when I started to blow up, and that is when a door opened, an opportunity opened. Social media can give you so many opportunities if you stick with it and if you want it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is when it happened. I woke up one day in July of 2022, and I was like, I want to move to Florida. I have this opportunity. I have people watching me from different states. Doing hair and moving to a different state would be very hard to rebuild your clientele, okay? If you have, some sort of a following, it makes it obviously a little bit easier. So I saw this opportunity and I took it because I was like, this opportunity isn't going to be here in years to come. You never know with social media. You could fall off tomorrow. Woke up feeling this gut feeling. And ever since this day, I will never not trust a gut feeling again because it was the best thing I ever did. I woke up and I was like, I want to move. How do you tell the person that you love and you've been with for 6 years that you want to move away? You're looking at rings. You're like, it's a really, really hard situation. Thankfully, and not to keep obviously like bringing my ex up, but he was a big part of my life and he'll be continued to be brought up in a very positive way. Also, the only negative thing I have to say about him is what he did to me after we fucking dated, which I can make a full episode about on my own thing. So I can just put that to rest. If for some reason, even though he did that to me after the fact, I can't hate him. And I never will hate him because he saved my life at a point. He was very kind and he was very supportive. So when I brought it up to him that I wanted to move, obviously we were both like, he would never once told me no. He never once was like, you can't move. He never once made me feel bad about it. He was always like, if that's what you feel that you need to do, then we will try to we'll make this work and we'll figure it out. Okay. Like literally so supportive about it. And that if I didn't have that at that time, he's another big reason to where I am today. And I will forever thank him for that, even though he kind of shit on me a little bit after the fact, but I do thank him. Moving along from that one. So yeah, I called my sister and I was like, I want to move to Florida. And yeah, she was like, come visit me in August and just come look at things. You know, I didn't plan on moving until probably the next year. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll come like look at things and look at apartments and kind of just see like the area and see like if I like it or if I can like picture this place as home. So I also had reached out to this girl that lived in Fort Lauderdale. Her name's Olivia. She's one of my best friends now. She had reached out to me in past when I was visiting my sister, and she'd asked me to hang out, but it just never worked out when I was down here. I was only here for like 3 days visiting my sister, so I didn't have time to like hang out. But I remembered that she had reached out, so I reached back out to her. I was like, hey, I actually think I want to move there. And she was like, call me. And I was like, okay. So I called her. The conversation went so, she made me feel so comfortable. She's another reason why I am here, because she made me feel like it was the right thing to do. She made me feel so confident about it. So I told her I was coming at the end of August, and she was like, you can go out to dinner with me and my hairstylist friends. We'll show you around. We'll, you know, talk you through it. I'm like, okay, sweet. So everything was kind of like falling into place. Again, gut feeling, falling into place. That's just what happened. So I went end of August. I went and visited my sister, and everything fell into place. I am just talking like, I think if something is meant to be, you'll know if it's meant to be, because things will just fall. Things will come to you if you take the step to actually do them. Like, if I would have never flown to just come look at things, like none of this would have ever happened. If I would have never reached out to that girl, I don't know if I would be here. I came here end of August, and end of that August, we went to this apartment building, and they were having deals that day. Of course, they were having deals that day. And I signed a lease on that apartment. When I tell you people, I am the most impulsive person. If something feels right for me, I am doing it. Okay? There's just no questions asked about it. So I was like, I'm doing it. Still crazy to me that I signed that lease. And then I'm like, oh, well shit, now I got to find somewhere to work. So obviously those girls, I originally wanted to be in Delray Beach, and I wanted to live there, and I wanted to work in Delray. Unfortunately, the studios there, they sold their last one that day. So I knew that wasn't meant to be. But my friends had worked at that Fort Lauderdale one. So I was like, oh, if my friends are there, obviously I'll have like friends there too. So I ended up going to Fort Lauderdale. They had them open, and I signed a lease in my studio. So this was all at the end of August. My apartment building was like, you have to move in October 1st. That's a month at home. That's a month to pack it up at home. That's a month to tell everyone goodbye. That's a month that no one knows I'm moving. No one knows I'm really here doing this except for my boyfriend at the time. Like, crazy. So yeah, I called my boyfriend. I was like, this is happening. Originally I was supposed to be here for a year, and I was supposed to move back to Illinois. It was never the goal for me to be here for good. Obviously I didn't want to like obviously lose him at the start. That was never ever my intentions. And I think that people from back home think that I had some fucking like malicious thing that I like wanted to like, no one knows what happened except for my boyfriend and I. Like, I go through a lot of things personally, which we can get into in later episodes. I don't want to make this a fucking therapy lesson or whatever. I was struggling, and I had a lot of family shit going down around this exact time. So it kind of threw me over the edge even more to being like, I want to get out of here. My boyfriend at the time was the only reason I was staying there. And I knew that when I was 10 years down the line, if I didn't take the opportunity when I had it, I was going to hate myself for the rest of my life. I think I would have been a sad, mean ass lady down the line if I would still be in Illinois right now. Honestly, if I would have gotten married, if I would have done all of that, like that, I just didn't know if that was, my life, if that was like what I was supposed to do. And I was like, if I come here and I hate it, I can always go back. You can always go back. I was home for 1 month. But it was nice that I had already been here, and I knew I had a studio, and I knew the address of where I was working. I could start promoting myself for Florida to get clients. That whole month I spent making videos saying that I was moving to Florida, booking clients for when I first moved there. And I opened up the shadowing program, right? This was all before I even moved here. I did all of this so that I could give myself a peace of mind. I was spending my last dime moving here. I saved up that whole summer. I was so scared not having a clientele here. And granted, yes, I had the TikTok or whatever, but Juice, could you please? Oh, he's playing by the chords. I ended up making it work. Juice. All right, hang on. Give me 1 second. Bro. Okay, yeah, so I was home for that month. I packed up my studio. And I think also something that I can talk about the way that I went from a salon to a studio also in a different video or a different episode, but the way that my studio too didn't have a lease in Illinois. It was one of those things where you could just leave whenever. And I think that was another sign that was like, because anywhere you go, you have to sign a lease for like a year or something. So this place was just like, yeah, you can go. I'm like, okay. So I just took that as a sign too. Everything was just falling into place. My boyfriend at the time ended up driving me here. We packed up a U-Haul with all of my stuff. We drove 24 hours here. He drove, not we. He drove the entire thing without sleeping. It was crazy. I never want to go through that moving process again. It was insane. And yeah, we made it to Florida, and my boyfriend at the time only stayed here for like a day. He never got to see my life here, which is really sad. And after that, I started my life here, and that is how I got here. And I can get into, you know, the breakup, and I can get into all of that stuff later on in different episodes. Like I said, we got a lot to talk about. Today, I just wanted to keep it a short and sweet little episode, just showing you guys that, like, I'm a small town girly that made it out. I mean, what can I say? Made it out. Also, let me preface this too. There is nothing wrong with loving your small hometown. There is nothing wrong with wanting to stay there. My ex, he wants to live there the rest of his life. That is the life that he likes. He likes living in the country. He loves that. There's nothing wrong, and I know that I'm always saying, like, oh, get out of your small hometown. Oh, go see what's out there. Some people don't want that, and that's fine. I'm saying if you feel that there's more for you out there, go get it. Don't just sit around and wait for it to come to you, because it's not going to come to you. You have to actually, like, go do it. That time frame of, like, is just seems like a blur. It's wild. It was a really, really wild time. Very proud of myself that I did that, because like I said, there was just in my brain, there was no way that I would ever be able to make it out of there. I went completely out of my comfort zone. I left my whole clientele, everyone, in all in like a couple months, because I saw an opportunity. I've continued to have these moments where I have these gut feelings, and I will continue to listen to them, because they've never steered me wrong at this point. So even if they suck, even if they're so hard, you know, breakups too. I mean, that's like a big one. If I get a gut feeling like with a breakup, like they're so hard. I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode on how I kind of ended up here. It was not an easy road to get here. And yeah, so, okay, I'm just speaking out of my asshole right now. All right, so thank you guys so much for listening and watching. If you're watching, if I can even get this to work. All right, I'm going to shut up. Love you guys. Bye.